Hey there, if you guys have been following along on my Universal solo trip, first I want to say thank you so much. And if you're new here, hi, my name is April. I am a travel agent who likes to post all things travel related, and I recently went on a solo trip to Universal. I will post the vlog below, but I wanted to spend this time on this video and talk about what went right on a solo trip, what I do differently, and then probably the most exciting part is all things epic. So make sure you guys stick around for that too. So the whole reason why this trip happened was because I had an opportunity to have some training at Universal, and then when we were looking at the training schedule as well as the downtime, it just made the most sense for me to go alone. And at the time of booking everything, I was super excited, but as it got closer and I started planning some stuff to do at the parks, it was mixed emotions. I was kind of nervous about going into lines by myself, and I was also kind of like feeling guilty being excited to ride certain things, knowing that my family wasn't going to be there. But I think the thing that it hit the most is when I first landed at Orlando, and you get those Orlando airport vibes, and it felt weird having those vibes without my family, but it was definitely something that I got used to real quick. So because this was a last minute trip, I wasn't able to get a Universal hotel. So I ended up booking the Sheraton Four Points Hotel on Universal Drive, which is a Universal partner hotel. And it offered shuttle service to the parks, as well as if you booked it as a package, you could get early park admission. So what I liked about the hotel, the location, that was my favorite thing, I think, was the location. Basically across the street was a 7-Eleven. Next door to it was kind of like a coffee shop, and then next to that was IHOP. And if you walked maybe 10 minutes more down the road, you could get a CVS. So you could get kind of supplies and stuff like that. And you may have seen it if you've been to Universal before. It's kind of like diagonal across from Dockside Inn. So the location of the hotel was very nice. The room size was nice. I didn't feel like I was crowded. It was a king size room and it had a lot of extra space. And the view from the room was really nice. I ended up being on the 16th floor and got I think they called it a parkside view. I could see the fireworks from my hotel room at night. So now the not so great, or what I would do differently. It was a little outdated. The lobby was very small, outdated. They did have an area for food, and those prices were pretty high. So again, I would suggest if you're going to stay there, just definitely go and stock up at either CVS or 7-Eleven. The transportation. So I did call and they said that they have transportation that runs multiple times throughout the day. So it's very limited if you ask me. I don't remember the time specifically. I'll try to put them up on the screen, but you have to have a reservation to go to the parks. You do not need a reservation to come back. To book a reservation, the desk was only open from 7 to 11. So I believe it was 4 times in the morning that the shuttle run and then 4 times in the evening. I'm the type of person who likes to come back and take a break during the hottest time of the day. And that was something that I wasn't able to do on the shuttle. So I had to really think about the shuttle times. I like the idea of not having to worry about the shuttle, just can come and go as I please. Another thing, I didn't end up getting early park admission because I didn't book a package because of the training. So I wasn't able to utilize that or see how that worked, unfortunately, on this time. But I definitely think that the next time I personally go, I will probably just stay at a Universal Resort hotel and not have to worry about anything. It is a good hotel for families. There is a restaurant, which I never saw the prices or I didn't eat because I was always at the parks, but there is a restaurant at the hotel. There's our arcade. There is a pool. So it is a good hotel for families. My only suggestion is I would recommend it if you are driving yourself to the parks. If you don't have to worry about transportation, it is a good hotel and I do recommend it, especially for the location. But again, if you're relying heavily on the shuttle, I would not recommend this hotel. I would just recommend staying at a Universal hotel. So the good about solo travel to Universal and Island Adventure was the fact that my husband and I went, I think, last year, and he gets motion sickness, especially if it's screen heavy. And as you may know, Universal can tend to be very screen heavy. So there was a lot of rides we didn't do last year, which I was perfectly fine with. But this year, I think that was the good part about going to Universal solo is that I was able to kind of ride everything I wanted to without having to either worry about somebody else not liking it or leaving him alone and riding it by myself. So that was definitely good. Another good thing, which I know it's always been there, but I had never utilized it before, but solo rider. The lines for Solo Rider made it super amazing. Like, that was super fun. The only downside is majority of the solo rider lines, you miss the queue, which for Escape for Gringotts is a very amazing queue. But the wait time for Gringotts was 60 minutes. And I was like, I'm just going to try Solo Rider. And I literally walked right on. So there is an added benefit for the Solo Rider. I love that I also got to go at my own pace, not having to worry about, oh, we need another bathroom break, or so-and-so's tired, let's take a break. And there's nothing wrong. I do love going to the parks with my family, but it was nice that I got to make the decisions without having to run it by anybody. So the challenges was, for me, the food situation was a challenge. There were some things that I got that was definitely something I could eat alone, but a lot of the park's foods are very big portions. So a lot of times what we would do is me and my husband would get something to split. And even if it didn't hold us over, that'd give us the opportunity to try more things. So it was definitely a challenge to find food that was either small enough or that I didn't mind throwing away if it was too much food. Another downside, I said the good side of solo travel is the single rider line. The downside to solo travel is when there is no single rider line, it is a longer wait. You basically have to entertain yourself. There's nobody to talk to in line. It can be super awkward, and majority of the time I was on my phone, but that's one thing I didn't like about riding or going solo to the parks is waiting in like a 35-minute line by myself, because 35 minutes with people doesn't feel like 35 minutes. 35 minutes solo feels like 45, 55 minutes. So that's something that was a challenge. So my favorite, I think, solo moment was okay. So I think my favorite solo moment was being able to help other families take pictures. This is something I always do when we're on vacation. My girls always roll their eyes, but I really enjoy doing it. It's not every time that you get to have a big family photo. So I think that was my favorite solo moments. I think I was able to do it like 5 or 6 times for people, and I loved it. Would I solo travel again to a theme park? Yes, 100%. I mean, I did miss my family. It would be nice to have them there, but I also wouldn't feel guilty if I needed to go somewhere specific to either learn about something, get training, or get content. That way I just can focus on what I need to do. So 100% I would do a solo trip again. Okay, now it's time to talk about Epic. If you have stuck with me this far, I want to say thank you so much. I know I ramble on, but I definitely wanted just to recap this trip. And if it's content that you like, don't forget to hit the like button. But now let's just get into all things Epic Universe. So again, at the time of me going to Epic Universe, the park had been open for 2 weeks. So I don't want to go in like a breakdown of my whole day, but because I did not have early park admission, I did go to the parks earlier, which I want to talk about this because I think a lot of people are confused. Even if you don't have early park admission, head to the parks for early park admission because they do let everybody in. And what they'll do is there's only certain portals that are open for early park. And at the time that I went, I don't know if it's going to change, but at the time that I went, Nintendo World was open for early park, and then the Stardust Racers was open for early park. So they'll start checking there if you have early park admission, and that's when they let you in. But if you don't have early park admission, you can still line up at the portals. So I really, really wanted to go see Isle of Berk, the How to Train Your Dragon area. So I went and walked over there to get in line for when that portal opened. Some people for early park would go over to Wizarding World and line up at the portal there so that they could head straight to do the Ministry of Magic, whereas others took advantage of the early park admission if they had it at Super Nintendo World. The park opened at 10. I ended up getting to the park, I think, around 7:45. The lines were super long already. What's nice too, by the way, is they have a bathroom before you get through security. So if you're going there and waiting in the long line, there is a bathroom. That was super convenient. The first impressions of the park as a whole it was nice. It was really nice. 2 weeks in, I was starting to see some kind of wear and tear, which I was surprised about. But overall, the park was very nice. The theming was on point when you got to these places, 100% theming. I think what I love the most about it is that they, just like if you ask me Diagon Alley, you couldn't see much of the area past the portal. So it definitely made you feel like you were being transported when you walked through the portal to a different area. I think that was on point with them. They did amazing with that. It was spread out, which was nice. It never felt super crowded except for 2 areas. The only thing is that I feel like they missed the opportunity for a lot more shade. There wasn't much shade there, if you ask me, in my opinion. It got very hot and very stale and stagnant. So my favorite rides, I think, were Hiccups, Wing Gliders, and Monsters Unchained. Those were my 2 favorite rides. I loved How to Train Your Dragon Burke Island, the whole area. I loved that so much. And again, that one didn't feel overwhelming. It was very nice. Celestial Park, the carousel was super nice. There were a couple of the carousel things that were broken, and I had ended up doing that when got super hot out because I needed some shade, and it is covered. But I think what they didn't have in line, which they could have used, and I don't know if I remember seeing it and they weren't on, but they could have had fans. It just felt the air just felt very stiff there. So I had gone on that hoping to cool down when really I felt like I actually got hotter just being in that stale air. But it was super nice. I will suggest that you do that at night because it's supposed to light up. I wasn't able to stay in the park at night because of a storm, but because it's supposed to light up and I heard the park's gorgeous at night. So I would definitely suggest doing the carousel at night. Super Nintendo World. My anxiety got super high in that area. It was crowded. Just people running around, little kids running around doing the power-up bands. And there was some shade there, so people took advantage of it by sitting on the steps when you were trying to go in. It was just overwhelmingly crowded that day at that area. I did end up going on Yoshi's because it was a 50-minute wait, and I was like, oh, it's indoors. Well, come to find out that we ended up having to go outdoors for majority of the time. It was definitely not, to me, in my opinion, worth the 55 minutes. It kept breaking down. It was like, I felt like it was a 10-minute ride, and it kept breaking down. Even with the breakdowns, it was like a 10-minute ride. So I guess if it's a smaller wait time, definitely it's worth it, but it was okay to me. I didn't end up doing Bowser's because I think it was actually down and broken majority of that day. And then Minecraft was super long line, so I didn't end up doing that. I did not do Ministry of Magic because it was super long wait as well. And they didn't have the single rider open, which was kind of bum. But I did go inside. Gorgeous. It is so gorgeous inside. That whole area, that was overwhelmingly busy too as well. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter was very crowded as well, which was expected. So my shocker though, the Dark Universe. So I am not going to make friends with this statement, but I am not a HHN type of girl. I am definitely the not so scary person. So my whole idea, my whole plan was just to go go into Dark Universe. Oh, cool, this is so cute, and then leave. Like, I was not about to stick around. I am not about the whole characters walking around. Not about any of that. But when I went in there, I was like, I'm hungry. I'm going to get the garlic steak, which bring gum. It is garlicky. But after that, I was like, oh, you know what? It's not super scary here during the day. I might as well stick around. And then I ended up trying the werewolf roller coaster. I don't remember the name right now, but that was super fun. With training, they had told us the carts, they do spin, and it's not based off timing or anything. It is just literally kind of like random weight distribution. So what's nice about that is kind of like anytime that you go on that ride, you might have a different experience, which makes it want to go on it again and again. Then I ended up trying and falling in love with Monsters Unchained. I think out of all of that, that is my favorite ride. It was incredible. and the single rider took next to nothing. Now, I did miss the queue, and I don't even know what it's like. So I am kind of upset that I missed the queue on that, but that ride, you guys, I cannot talk about it enough, which makes me think, like, if you're not into something, definitely give it a try. You might be surprised. So I definitely think that this park is exactly what Universal needed. It definitely made them put them back on the map. Not that they weren't, but put them back on the map. This park is definitely a more than one day park, especially if you have early park admission. If you go there multiple times, you can spend one morning early park admission focusing on maybe Super Nintendo World, and then the next time you can do early park admission focusing on getting in line for the Ministry of Magic super early. So I definitely think that this park is definitely 2 days, if not more, especially if you want to go at a slower pace. It's not so screen heavy like the other parks, in my opinion. So that is nice. And that's why I think my husband would super like this park, because there are a lot more rides he can do here without the fear of getting sick like he fears at the other parks. Would I recommend it now? I mean, okay, the normal person in me would not have gone to the parks the first year if it opened, but the travel agent in me is like, I really need to see what the parks is about. So it wasn't super overcrowded. I don't know if they were still trying to keep a cap on the amount of people that went there, but it definitely at times felt a little overwhelming. So my suggestion would be definitely to see about waiting until the crowds died down. But I don't know if that's something that might happen, to be honest. I mean, look at Hagrid's. It's still continuously at a 75-minute wait, and it's been open for so long. So definitely, I suggest going when you feel is right for you. Like, you know how you handle crowds. That's probably the best. I don't think there's anything wrong with going now or versus going later. So for food, I did the garlic steak, which was amazing. Again, you would need to have gum on that. I also did the PB&J cone. That was enough for 2 people. So that one was one of the ones I struggled ordering it because knowing I wouldn't be able to finish it. It was amazing, you guys. That's another problem with only going solo is I only tried 2 things at the park. I wish I could have tried so much more, but unfortunately, only tried 2 things because I wasn't hungry and it was only me. So my final thoughts, and to wrap up this hopefully not so long-winded video, is I truly did enjoy doing this solo trip, and I feel like I would 100% do it again. I think my favorite part of the whole trip was the Monsters Unchained. I had just a newfound love for it. I am so excited even just thinking about it. I want to go back. The one thing I would do differently is definitely staying at a Universal hotel. I think I had mentioned this earlier, but for me, I didn't like having to think about how to get back to the hotels when I wanted to rest in the middle of the day and then get back to the parks, to be honest, because the afternoon shuttles are just to bring people from the parks to the hotel. It's not to go back to the hotel. So I would definitely next time stay at a Universal hotel. Would I recommend a solo trip to Universal? 100%. It was really nice to be able to just kind of focus on the things I wanted to do and the places I wanted to see and not have to kind of cater to everybody else. And I'm not saying I would cater to my family, but the fact that it literally was just what I wanted to do made it kind of a special trip, and it just made it feel more about me. So let me know in the comments if you've done a solo trip and if you've liked it or didn't like it, or if you've been to Epic Universe, what was your favorite portal? I'd love to hear it. So definitely comment below. And I just really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my videos. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe because I will hopefully have some more travel themed videos coming your way.